IRGC vehicle. They opened fire on the roads. Let's watch this quickly and come back. That's the car at the front. So they're right behind him. And now, getting there. Now. Yeah. And the car's down. An IRGC vehicle.
Well, how is it going out there, my fellow world patriots? It is indeed Tuesday, April 14th, 2026, and started off with a little 2CTV per my buddy Ghosts here recommendation a few weeks back, which I found him to be pretty level in his reporting, but what he was showing you was what he said was armed Iranians inside of Iran essentially going after the IRGC. And he's got some information about, maybe they're going to be, ready to talk again. And of course, we know that old gag. We'll see how it all plays out. But let me bring in, of course, I got Ghost and Armando with me so far. So let's bring in Ghost, and then we'll bring in Mr. Armando onto the screen as well. But Mr. Ghost, sir, how is it going today? How you feeling? How's all that good stuff?
Howdy. This week's better than last week, and that's a good thing. Always a good thing. And Armando was there for a part of it. So yeah.
So it was a good week. Last week was better than this week.
Yes. So far, yeah.
So far. Okay.
But no, it's always good to be with you. Always. And yeah, let's get on with it. What happened?
I don't know.
I hope we all didn't disappear from each other again.
I'm here. Or space shot.
I don't know. Maybe you had to go to the bathroom.
Oh my God. Oh wait, hold on. No, yeah, oh my, dude, I'm telling you, this is like the third time this has happened in like the last 2 weeks. Hold on. This is ridiculous.
What's going on?
I have to, I have to switch it. I have this stupid thing which it basically gets rid of all the background noise so you don't hear the fans and this, that, and the other. But occasionally it decides it wants to turn my microphone just completely off mid-sentence, and my hand is not anywhere near the mute button. I have to put my hand up here. So again, here we go. Armando's here with us on the screen. How's it going, Armando? How's everything? He can hear me this time. Holy crap.
Yeah, I can hear you. Doing well. I appreciate you having us on today again. Hello, folks out there in the chat. Hope you guys are having a good week so far.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so, I was just touching on what he was reporting because that came out about 45 minutes before the show. And the highlight of his post was essentially that they are, they're ready to talk, right? Because we've blocked the straits and this, that, and the other. So he's saying IRGC surrendered to Trump ceasefire talks, Iran regime change plan. So, of course, we have all the usual suspects pointing all the fingers and he's doing this because of one country and blah, 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 but they're not seeing the bigger picture. And I'm trying to highlight, you guys, of course, this gentleman here, even the older ladies over there at Promethean Action, who seem to also be seeing a same narrative that I'm seeing, same as this guy, but we're also not looking at the same data sets either. We're kind of all looking at it from a different perspective. So my question to you guys is, and we'll go with Armando first here. How about that? We'll switch it up. My question to Armando is, how come we have what would be otherwise intelligent individuals, air quotes here, just going, oh, Trump, Israel, but they're not seeing the other things that our reporting is showing and others that are showing?
So my question would be to your question is, who are these said individuals?
The talking, well, and again, these are the talking, the talking heads. And again, kind of like we were talking about before we got on live, I honestly don't know, to be honest with you guys, which people are, say really pro-Trump, but they're trying to push out this narrative, and then which ones are, basically trying to, cause chaos for the sake of causing chaos. I genuinely don't know.
Okay. Now I know what you speak of. 2 years ago, Ghost and I had this very same conversation. Why? Because there was a post that was put out there. This was, I'm going to say, well, not really 2 years ago. Sorry, I take that back. Somewhere around July of 25, where this whole anti-Semitism or anti-Semitic speech was going around, and, you know, boo on Israel, boo on Israel, boo on, you know, Trump and the war, all this stuff. So what happened? Well, they, first of all, Israel came out with a thing. You're not allowed to post anything or say anything against the government, against the party or whatever over in Israel. Anything negative going on social media against them would be met with a hefty fine or up to 5 years of imprisonment. Then they followed the UK's footsteps, and they said, anybody out there that is talking negative about Jewish people, you know, anti-Semitism and all that stuff, and anything against Israel or something like that, what we're going to do is we're going to take these, I don't know if I should drop names. It's nothing against them, but they're just in the news. Your Carlsons, your Owens, even your Sean Ryans, unfortunately, and the ones that are getting in the millions of followers or whatever, right? Making the big bucks. That they were going to start offering them money so they can change their speech and speak pro-Israel, pro, you know, Jewish state, pro whatever, but don't worry about Trump. And there you have it. And you have your Megyn Kellys also as well, who are starting to have that kind of language. Even there's, and I don't know why, this other channel that's out there, Redacted, who I thought was very good. And now they dropped a truth bomb, not a truth bomb, their truth bomb that they dropped today, saying that the blockade in the Straits of Hormuz have, in capital letters, have failed immensely towards Trump. Where are you getting your information from? Right? And in fact, are these people actually getting paid that kind of money to change their speech? Because they all did this simultaneously, almost in the 11th hour.
That convenient.
It's out there. You can look it up. It's everywhere. And we had that conversation a while back ago, and it's like it's going to come. And like we've said before, every week you're going to see the cesspool of misinformation, propaganda, deep fake videos intensify on a weekly basis the closer that we get to the July 4th or to the midterms. It's just going to happen. Yeah, that's them right there.
Yeah,
I mean, today's was insane. Okay, so if you did a total blockade of the Straits of Hormuz, okay, how did it blow up in their face? We got empty tankers coming here to America now to fill up from all over the place. You can go look at real-time maps and radars and stuff like that, and they're there. Okay, not one Iranian tanker has left port. You know, they're getting sent back. Any aggression will be blown out of the water. And now the report came out that, you know, IRGC is surrendering, right? Like they're giving in. So where in the world do they get that thumbnail to put out there that this failed immensely for Trump? I'm sorry. I can't buy that.
It makes sense, right?
Can't buy any of it at this point.
No.
Because they're not looking at data. They're not looking at real world data. If you look at what was being done over there in Iran, no, it wasn't being done because one little country has control over another. Look, there are aspects of that between every country, virtually. Every major country in the Western and Eastern world. They're always influencing each other. They're always spying on each other. We're doing it too. All right. So, you know, I didn't really think of this stuff much because, like I had mentioned on another thing, that I don't get my information from the Carlsons and the Redacteds. You watch them to see what they're saying, to see what the world is seeing. And all of a sudden, they're all saying it in different ways, in their own way. Because no, this thing about criticizing Israel, that they're passing a law, well, they can pass a law over there for their people all they want. That's not my country. So I don't give a damn what they do with their people over there. Whatever the Israelis are willing to put up with, let them put up with it. But as far as me as an American, what I see passing in this country, states where you can't criticize the government of Israel, I'm sorry, just like every other country, the government is not its people and vice versa. It's just the reality. Always has been, always will be until we come up with a better way of doing things on this planet, which has got a ways to go. But the bottom line here is what all of this anti-Trump rhetoric, anti-administration rhetoric, they're not seeing the bigger picture again. They're not seeing it. And you pointing out that that other group of, I know who you're talking about, they do very good work.
I'm going to pull it up
As a
now.
matter of
'Cause
fact.
I got a very, actually, let me interject just one second, Ghost, and I'm going to
Sure.
read this because I think this is actually very important, especially with this post and when they posted this. So this was July of 2024. And I've told you, you know, I had my little point of doubt, and I'll even show everybody when that was because he responded to me here then. This was 2022. I'm like, dude, we need to see some deep state people getting arrested and soon, right? And he's like, you know, basically chill out, all right? And so going forward, and this is apparently a group of people, and I made the mistake of making them, labeling them a group of lawyers, and they said, no, we're not lawyers. So just a group of folks that, you know, are pro-Constitution, pro-Christian, but everything I've seen from this group, they've nailed like so many. So I was telling Ghost and Armando before the show, I said, I don't know if you've ever seen these guys, but I've seen them link so many things with President Trump and Elon Musk going back like 3 years that like they're just on point every time. So this post right here is especially pertinent to especially what we're dealing with right now. It says, gear up mentally for the ping pong match ahead. Swinging back and forth, negative developments, positive breakthroughs, negative developments, positive breakthroughs. Expect a stretch where discouraging updates hit consecutively. And remember this line specifically. The typical usual quote voices will chime in, declaring it's the end. Remember our mantra. Emotions don't dictate our path. Stay steadfast. Things won't spiral out of control. Keep steady. We have all the momentum on our side. We have the wind at our backs, and we have a cause that is just. You are part of history. So he's basically saying, you know, if everything seems under control, you're not going fast enough. President Trump quoting Mario Andretti. So, you know, I just wanted to interject that because they told us, you know, a year and a half ago or almost 2 years ago, it's going to get, you know, kind of worse, ping-ponging back and forth. And what was the last one that I played for you right before we got on? They had a post today that basically was essentially saying, you know, watch the Bible. It says, I'll just read it for you guys. Prepare ahead of time to have your level of discernment, and then CERN, CERN was in capital, I thought was interesting, tested, perhaps like no other period prior in your life. When in doubt, hold steadfast to Emmanuel's manual. You'll be all right. So, you know, that's today's post. So seems like we're going to get even more into the muck and mire before things settle down, which is something I think, you know, most of us are predicting. So with that interjection out of the way.
I'm going to tell you, I think that this Entheos, right? Entheos, I guess, is there. I take, I don't know about you, Ghost. What do you think? I noticed some military jargon being used in there, certain words such as steadfast. Yeah. Okay, so this could be a military person that's just out there giving you breadcrumbs in bigger bite size. But what you just read right now, Space Shot, is we're living it. Like I said, you're going to see this intensify every week. Okay, it's just going to get worse. And they just said it right there. We're living it.
And well, it was 2 years ago, we were saying the future will become more and more confused until this has reached a,
correct,
you know, until it's reached a true tipping point, a true point of pivoting, and a true nexus point of understanding for a lot of people. And you're not going to see, unless you're paying attention to certain, unless you're looking in certain directions, your head's going to be turning too much to see the picture. That's not reconnoitering. Reconnoitering is slowly glassing the horizon, very slowly, to see that thing that you're not supposed to see, or you're not supposed to know about or hear about, but you see the signs of it on the horizon. This is an early warning, if you will. And we've maintained the same position for years, and so have others out there. And now you see it, it's actually coming to fruition. And what I was saying about, Israel before, in many ways, the world owes that little country a debt of gratitude, because the opposition managed to get into the universities, turn your kids into um, PLO wearing, scarf wearing idiots with painted hair and earrings, the first ones that they'd kill if they were in charge of wherever they happened to be. Number one. Number two, you're seeing just so much manufactured garbage. And I would caution people with AI. AI is nothing. I was saying this before the show. Nothing is new when it comes to AI. AI has been actually existing in algorithms since the 1960s, the basis of it, the mathematics of it.
Wow.
The only difference between then and now is that silicone and bus speeds and engineering and hardware have enabled machines to go through the if then. It's all it is. You're not talking to something that will someday have sentience. It never will. If you're any computer engineer out there knows exactly what I'm talking about. It comes down to math. It comes down to memory. It comes down to reading, writing on certain devices. It comes down to X, Y, if then. The fact that it can utilize enough electricity and hardware that you can now talk to it individually, that's where it has been wanted to be brought to all this time. Why? It maps you. You're helping educate this machine of mimicry. It's all it is. And what I'm seeing come out of it a lot of times is not very impressive. It's showing the lesser nature of humanity. It's absorbing in certain ways. But I'm not afraid of that. No, of course not. I just see a burgeoning field of release technology, again, where there's no real breaks or any kind of, let's say, discernment being applied to it on a mass scale. I think certain interests want it to grow as fast as possible. And certain interests would want to use that for a disruptive factor, and others would want to use that for the opposite. But again, we're just seeing a lot of things thrown out at the population at large very quickly in a way that would confuse most, except those that are 10 years into this. Well, there are people that died a long time ago that I knew that knew about this agenda all their lives, and they died very old. So we're coming to a point where we're going against a large movement, so to speak, that did not have the best intentions for humanity in mind. And you're seeing that being flipped in real time. In reality, it is real time because it's happening right now. And I would not expect there to be a general knowledge among people that says that this is where we're going, and this is what it's going to wind up. It is going in that direction, and that is where we're going to wind up.
Yeah,
not as some globalist experiment, but we're going to wind up on the better end of history as a whole, because better minds are prevailing in all of this in the long run. And it's been going on for so long. 10 years of saying, oh, I've been awake for 10, 15 years. That's wonderful. But you would understand by this point that this kind of thing doesn't happen overnight. If it's not complete and absolute in its execution, then you've lost. You've just extended it another 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Who wants that? And I don't think anyone wants that. We can't afford that with the way technology is going on all fronts, from physics to computer science to biology. We're reaching a point that has to be.
Oh, you just went off. You might have hit your mute button, buddy. Or his headphones might have died. Let's see.
Or Starlink is triangulating where he's at. It happens. It happens. Yeah. Believe me. Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if he can hear this, but I sent both of you guys a text too, because that was an interesting post. So I don't know if you guys have ever bumped into that guy. I just didn't want to bring it up on air if you did or did not know about that gentleman. But
I'm looking at it. Yeah.
that was pretty interesting too, that he did come. You know what? Let me play a little bit of it, because I think it's interesting and worth it. And I think it would be good to get your guys' comments on some of that, because it's a 10-minute video, but what he gets basically out what we need to in about 2 minutes, so we don't need to play the whole damn thing. Let me see.
Rock with it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Ghost got knocked out. Here we go. He's coming back in.
Okay.
He got knocked out. Maybe that, like you said, the
Wow, that was strange.
Did they find you?
I just got totally kicked out. The whole thing shut down. Oops, what did I say wrong? I didn't say anything yet. What did I say wrong?
It was
Nothing.
Starlink, man. It was Starlink.
Nothing yet. And Ghost, I was gonna share about a minute video with you guys too, and I had texted it to you and Armando as well. I just thought this was interesting because this guy, and he had been on with Alex Jones, and Alex Jones was basically giving him crap, and then he's telling Alex Jones, like, listen, you don't know what the hell's going on, he was basically calling him an idiot for a lack of better term. So I'm just going to give you about a minute or two of this, and then I'd love to hear, any comments that you guys might have, and I'm guessing I might be muted. Let me see.
On November 1, 2016, Hillary and Bill Clinton and their entourage of assistants effected a civilian coup. In contrast to the usual concept of a coup where the military is involved and takes over the White House and communication centers, very much like the scenarios you see in a movie, this coup was done silently and very effectively through two methods: corruption and co-optation. The Clintons have been involved in co-opting our White House, our judiciary, our CIA, our Federal Bureau of Investigation, our Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, and our Director of the FBI, James Comey, for some time now. What they've done is to make sure that they were part and parcel of a group of people who were interrelated through political cronyism. However, in order to stop this coup, we in the intelligence community and others involved have informally gotten together, and with their permission, I am beginning to announce that we've initiated a counter coup through Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. What has happened in effect when Comey had to open up the case of Hillary Clinton and discuss the emails that were involved with the Anthony Weiner case, it was not the case itself that was as important as the fact that this was the entree for many of us in the counter coup to say to the administration, we have your number. Not only do we have your number, we're going to stop you from making Hillary the president of the United States. And at the same time, we will convict and indict the president of the United States, Loretta Lynch, and many others who were involved in the cover-up of the massive corruption that occurred under the Clinton Foundation. Now, in both cases, their coup was silent, and our counter coup was silent, and it was all transgressed or occurred on.
So you basically get the idea of what he's saying, and this group calls him the real-life Jack Ryan, White Hat Stop the Deep State. So he was telling us about that. I think he released that in like 2018. So that, in a sort, is maybe dropping a kind of some breadcrumbs saying that we're going to be doing something. But again, he later went on with Alex Jones, who gave him a bunch of crap, and he kept telling him that, like, he doesn't know what's going on. You just don't know, Alex. Like, you think you do, but you don't know.
You think you do. All right.
Yes.
And Alex is very litigious these days. So what I'm going to say is my opinion, and my humble opinion, of course.
Absolutely.
I'm not making blanket statements, but I am going to remind people of history. There was a man named Bill Cooper who was out there talking about there was going to be, this was in June of 2001. There's going to be an attack.
Yep.
It looks like it's going to be somewhere in New York. And they're looking for Osama bin Laden, blah, blah, blah. And, I even just called him, I think, a douchebag or a douche CNN guy, finds him, in a cave. Well, now you fast forward, everyone goes on his show saying, oh, and the one who told us that 9/11 was going to happen, Jones didn't tell you that. He was a young punk then. He didn't know his ass from a hole in the ground other than he had a mission, in my humble opinion, of course. And Bill Cooper wound up dying that November in very, very suspicious circumstances, if people remember. He was gunned down.
On his ranch, right?
Got into on his little property on the side of a mountain, I believe, in Arizona. And Bill Cooper had been having this little tiff with Jones because Jones was saying certain things, and Cooper was, no, I know who you are and I know what you're about, and I don't want anything to do with you. And they had a little semi-public argument because nobody really knew who these men were then, except a few. And then it became, over the years, Jones was not the one who told you. It was Bill Cooper.
Yeah.
And at the end, Bill Cooper didn't want anything to do with him because he had done some, let's say, background checking. And I'll leave it at that. So be careful who you follow and what claims you believe about them. The history is out there. And I didn't say anything that's going against his reputation or trying to harm him in any way. I'm just trying to correct inconsistencies and, let's say, falsities that I see being perpetuated out there about certain people, and he happens to be one of them. And no, it's nonsensical when it get right down to it, that people are saying those things. Now, I could easily see why this man would get into an argument with him, because this guy knows what's going on. Really knows what's going on.
Yeah, he seemed to. And it was kind of
and
like,
these other,
go ahead, buddy. You're good.
I was just going to say, these other folks like Redacted and Carlson, they have ratings that they pay attention to. They have a business they're running. And if their numbers are going down because they're not staying ahead of the ball, or they're not looking at the right subjects, or looking at them to where it's satisfying enough people, controversy always sells. So they jump into the anti-Israel, anti-Jewish trope, however you want to look at it. It's all horseshit. I would say for anyone with any common sense, just stay away from all that nonsense. Look at the data points. You know, that country over there, Iran, they had the material to make weapons. They just hadn't pressed making the weapons that the public knows of yet. What they were actually waiting for was a few thousand more kilometers on their boosters so they could threaten the eastern United States, let alone all of Europe. And you don't think they would have used it? They killed 40,000 plus of their own people. That's the number we had at last reckoning. You don't think they would have killed millions of their own people to stay in power out of 95 million? Of course they would. If there's any talk of surrendering right now, I'll leave it at this. And I said earlier, I don't know if I got cut off before I said corruption is the biggest problem we have here and globally because of the globalist agenda. It couldn't succeed without rampant corruption, without everything from human trafficking to poisoning our own population with fentanyl of all things. So I think people need to check their brakes a little bit on all of this stuff. When all of the data, and if need be, we'll run down a bunch of it regarding Iran. This had to be done, but it had to be done on a certain timetable. And it wasn't any other timetable that would have benefited this country first on multiple fronts. Because I've said it before, do you think would you rather have an economic war, or would you rather have a kinetic war with, let's say, I don't know, China, other proxies for the globalists? Or would you have a little pissing match with the current regime that's running England? And I feel so bad for the Brits these days. It's not even funny for all the crap they have to put up with. But make no mistake about it, they know, Australians know, many countries that don't speak English know we're the way out of this. And in certain countries, you're looking at just small bits of the future if you think it was going to be a rosy one with globalism. You have two types, globalists and non-globalists. That's it. Those are your sides. And
Absolutely.
we're going to see a lot of surprises in names and people and a lot of things in the not too distant future. I promise you that.
Yeah, and a
Just
lot of crazy
remember,
things.
Where,
Oh, God,
where
go ahead,
America
Armando.
goes, so goes the world.
Ooh, that sounds like a very,
It's true.
yep, very poignant. And that was in the drops as well. The rest of the world will
I've
follow.
I've said that
Yep.
for years. As this country goes, so goes the world, especially in these days.
100%.
And we can't start losing our minds. Hey, Mike.
Mike,
Look at guys,
Hey.
and Mike jumps in here, and you know, can we tell him can I tell him what you just had removed? What a trooper, dude.
Sure.
Mike
Yeah,
Mike
go
just Mike just had some shrapnel removed at the hospital, and still came here and jumped in with us. So we do appreciate you coming in here, buddy. I was like, dude, if you need to relax, just take the night off. But I do appreciate you coming on, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. You got it.
That's we're dealing with we're again talking about the the back and forth of all this stuff, and we went through kind of the the talking heads type of stuff. So I think we're maybe going to get more into what's going on, like, and what did you mean specifically about the timelines? I don't know if any of you guys specifically want to talk about like why particular the timeline had to be now. Is it just confusion in that area in general, or is it kind of like the things that I'm putting up on the screen here, which it seems like they found a lot of people that are laundering a lot of this Iranian money, and apparently Besant, used, what was it, Rule 311 or whatever, to basically put a kibosh on this stuff. So they're blocking a lot of these institutions that are knowingly laundering the illegal monies. So I don't know who wants to take the helm first, but actually welcome in Mike too, just to say hello.
Ghost is more
Yeah,
versed in the financial aspect of it. Well, so is Mike. I'm not.
That's definitely not my
Well, I
ballpark.
think you're going to see things come out regarding Iran's real role in many things, such as we found out. But a lot of it hasn't been made public yet with Ukraine. There's a lot that will come out of Ukraine in the future, and what they were, let's say, serving as a proxy for for the globalist agenda. Iran, just another one, and they're not even a high level player. They are on that end of it because there's so few nations that were willing to be, let's say, regimes that were willing to take on that that mantle. But these people are fanaticists. IRGC and Muslim Brotherhood, all of those people are fanatics. They're not reasonable everyday people. So the fact that they took Iran in that direction, all of that was manufactured also a long time ago for a different agenda. Now I hope people are getting what I'm leaning towards here. I'm not leaning towards it. I'm trying to get the audience to lean this way. See that Iran is just another stepping stone in this process of nullifying mass corruption with your voting. 78 countries, I believe, at last count, had Smartmatic machines in them. You can best bet in the years past, in the different versions of that prior to Smartmatic, which there were many, with Sidehole and out Barcelona and Dominion, etc. Owners, you'll see the trails pass through Switzerland. You'll see them from Venezuela. You'll see them from Ukraine. You'll see them from Iran. And there's other locations, but they're much easier dealt with.
And the owners of those machines also cross into current presidencies and in a current state. If you want me to give that away, I'll be more than happy to give that away.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so with the Dominion voting machines, Obama had rights over Dominion voting machines. And when all the voting was done, all the Dominion voting machines and some of the Smartmatic ones were all housed in giant warehouses in Chicago, downtown Chicago, Illinois. And in those machines, they were taken away. They were moved away once we had figured out where they were. But on the paperwork for each of the machines, it had a shell company, and as we looked into the shell company, it was owned by the Obamas.
Oh, damn. Now,
Yep.
Mike, did that have anything to do with his library? Because I know there was a lot of hoopla about, you know, the information going in and out of his library, but I don't know if that's, you know, a factor or not in this one.
Can you give a little more on the library?
Well, I mean, like, you know, were they, I don't know if you can even say if you know, were they storing it at the library? Because there was a lot of, like, kind of smoke and mirrors as to, you know, the information that was going into his library, and they were trying to keep it all kind of, you know, off the public view.
Excuse me. So all the tabulators, all of the voting machines, even the paperwork were stored at industrial warehouses, and were stored at. You could think of them as a financial building. It was actually in a financial district of Chicago, stored in those buildings. But as far as like, you mean a library?
Yeah, like his presidential library.
Or do you mean, what do you mean by library? Oh, no, I don't think he would store it in the presidential library. There's too many loose threads. You have people coming in and out, and then you have your security staff that are there. They're pretty much generalized security, kind of like at the presidential libraries here in California. They're not police or federal police. They're just uniformed security, and that actually guard as security officers for over here at least. Now over there it may be different, but you know, it wouldn't surprise me under that new library he has. It wouldn't surprise me what he may have hidden there. I just know during the 2022 and 23 era of operation, we found all the machines with the tabulator. The tabulators actually connected to steps. There was the hours of 1:15 and 2:15 a.m.
Oh man, he's trailing out. Oh man, you're giving us such good information, but you're cutting in and out at the moment. Oh man, this is. You just give it a second, Mike. We'll see if maybe you'll connect to another tower in a second, because this is very important stuff. And it sounds to me like some of the guys knew that Obama was up to some stuff. And of course, this is not anything I've been aware of at all. So let's make sure Mike's got a good signal here, because that's some groovy stuff right there. And again, you know, there's a lot of things that the general public just don't know and are not privy to, and shouldn't be really. You know, as we kind of go,
do you know about Smartmatic and the Dominion machines where the electronics were made?
Wasn't it supposed to be Cuba?
No.
Venezuela?
Nope.
Really?
Nope. They were made in China.
Oh God, backdoors.
No, but initially they were made in China. They were sent to Taiwan, and then in Taiwan they were labeled made in Taiwan because it was easier to get into the Americas.
Damn.
But you know, inside that electronics, the bug was already there. They just extracted it when they got to Venezuela, okay? And they just modified it to wherever they wanted the boogeyman to appear in whatever country that was and sway the elections. Because back then you could not accept any type of that stuff. And it was harder to get it from China here than it was from Taiwan, because we had a very good, and still do, trade going on with Taiwan. Plus the chip making and all that stuff and the electronics. So what a better way to sneak it in under the rug.
Ugh, and we're paying hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to get stolen. Oh, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the other funny thing about Venezuela is when the machines. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, you're good.
Good to go, sir.
All right. So when the machines came into Venezuela, They're brought in through they're brought in through U.S. military contractors, DoD contractors. And those DoD contractors, former Tier 1 guys, Tier 2 guys, and some former GRS and SAC guys. And those guys were were picked up by the highest bidder and brought over to run security, run system. They're all pretty much cowboys and IT. They're pretty cowboys and IT gentlemen. And so if anything were to go wrong, they were there to fix the machines, to make sure the relay system switches were going up and running. They were setting up portable manned satellite relays. And actually, I think it was like 2 months into it, they got caught by the locals, and the police winded up throwing kind of like a big, not a big riot, but everyone came together, and the police got involved, and then Maduro sent in the military to take over the machines, and the police that arrested those contractors, the military had released them due to the contract and the operation being between the U.S. and Venezuela operation, a joint operation for those voting machines. And that's why you saw so much of people getting uproared and in a fit. It was because everyone found out. It was, everyone took pictures of the DoD contractors, and we'll just call them contractors. Everyone took pictures of the contractors, their faces and everything. And the contractors, a couple of them just, fled or, got out, they exfilled out of the country. And I believe 2 of them were actually still held in jail until they were, the embassy came in with their, I guess you could say their attorney, and then adjudicated out, and then brought out of Venezuela back to wherever they went.
That's been it. And so we just spend hundreds of millions of dollars to essentially let other countries mess with our elections, right? Remember we used to, when we were younger, oh, hey, it's 6:30, 7 o'clock, so-and-so won the election. Now it's like, oh, we got more mail-in ballots and all this, that, and the other coming in. So, and Mike,
Yeah.
it sounds like you got a good connection now too. You were mentioning some gold about Obama and the machines, and you mentioned that the shell company, it looked like it came back to the Obamas, and I think that's where you kind of were starting to trail out a little bit.
Yeah. So the machines and the tabulators and just everything that goes along with it, the computer software systems, computers, everything was housed in a industrial parks in downtown Chicago. And we had located those areas, and going in there, looking at the bill of lading orders, looking at other paperwork, it came back to a shell company, and then reverse searching that shell company. It was verified that it came back to Obama, who had owned the shell companies.
Jesus.
For that yeah, it was really quite I can't say odd, but it was really quite something.
No kidding. I mean, and when you have that type of information, I mean, is that a slam dunk type of situation? If you have that information and then you can present that, like, let's just say if you had what was gathered there and you brought that before a judge. Now, being a former president, like, I mean, what could you even do? I mean, you'd think something could be treasonous if you're going against our country, but I mean, I've shown many times in the past, and we talked about, I think even on this show, all of his connections going back to the 70s and how he may have been planted in by, I don't even know who, Abdulaziz from Saudi Arabia, maybe even other countries within the mix there. So it's like, that's a president. So like, I know there's not much you can probably say about, but I don't know, anything that you can foreshadow or anything.
Well, the funny thing is that, the people that were on this, I was working with the Senate and Congressional Intelligence Committee. So there were senators and congressmen that knew about all of this. And, upon finding everything and upon, doing all the investigation, very detailed investigational work, these congressmen, I'm not going to name them by names here, but, male and female, both sides of the House, they sat on it. They didn't do anything with it.
Jeez.
And that was, I think that was when, that was when I opened my eyes to where, okay, because they were part of the investigation within their with their committees, and they acted on it in no way, shape, or form.
That's disgusting. And they probably use it, they probably look at it and go, ooh, well, maybe we can use this dirt and, blackmail him and have him do something for us is probably more likely.
Exactly. And so in the conversations I was having with the senators and congressmen, that's exactly how it felt. It was being that conversation between us. That's exactly the vibes of the room I was reading was, he's,
Oh,
and
oh, you're trailing off again. Damn. Oh man, he's bringing some good stuff tonight too, and you're trailing off just a little bit. But anything you want to add to that, Armando or Ghost? But I'm going to also pull up while you guys are talking other things that are not looking so good for Obama as we kind of go here.
No, I'm good. Just let Mike see if he can get his audio back online there. Let him continue with that. It's good stuff.
Absolutely.
I'll go last because I got a pretty good Cuba rant, but we'll leave that for the back end.
Nice. Yeah, let's just make sure Mike's got a good signal here, and I'll just read a little of this. Maybe we'll get him to the next tower.
Yeah.
This is coming upon from yesterday, actually. Yeah. Newly declassified records expose how the deep state actors within the intelligence community concocted a false narrative that Congress used to usurp the will of the American people and impeach duly elected President Donald Trump. And so this goes so far as to talk about even the intelligence community inspector general. He was actually furthering this whistleblower crap. And basically, he's in the hot water right now. So all this stuff is coming out. And again, it seems like all of these things that everybody's like, oh, nothing's ever going to happen. Seems like the 2020 election stuff isn't going away. Seems like all this crossfire hurricane stuff isn't going away. Atkinson right here, this is the guy. Aggressively advanced so-called whistleblowers narrative using a witness who co-authored the 2017 Russia hoax that was used for the basis of Trump's impeachment. So you had a friggin' inside guy who's supposed to be the bumpers, right? He's supposed to be, the guy that says, oh no, this is wrong and this is fraud and you shouldn't be doing this. But he's actually backing the whole shtick against President Trump. So, we talked about in the posts, like what must, be shown to, engage, say, the military over all these three-letter agencies or whatever. And my contention has been that they're all fraudulent and they're all backing up the old boys network. And it's like they always cover for each other, it seems, right? But again, to my point previous, all this stuff seems to be coming back into the fold recently again. So I'm loving that. Let's see. You got a better signal now, Mike? Or Ghost, if you're going to jump in? Let's see how Mike's doing too.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Mike.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice and loud.
Okay. Yeah, I'm 10 minutes out. So where did I leave off? Or my
What the
audio
vibe
kept
in the
out?
room was at the time, the vibe that they were utilizing it for was for political gain.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so so on the secure skiffs and on the secure calls, phone calls and meetings in persons, the communication vibe between the senators and congressmen. I was just reading you could just read it. And it was, wow, Obama has all this. He's been using it, under the different, the shell companies, as I was saying. And mind you, these tabulators and these voting machines are still in play right now. So don't think they've been taken out of the circle. They're not. And so these representatives, a part of the Senate Intelligence and the Congressional Intelligence Committee, they basically just bought into it because it was almost as, you know, if he can get all these votes with doing what he's doing and having the satellite relay between the hours of 1:15 and 2:15 a.m., and add votes or take away votes from the Republicans and add more votes to the Democratic side or add more votes to this person or take away votes from this person, then why don't I do that? And that was the vibe that came through. And I was friends with at least 18 different staffers of those representatives, and about 12 of them had left. And I'm still good friends with them. And I don't, if the audience isn't aware what a staff officer is the staff officer does certain things for the congressional representative, like Congressman Massey. You know, I had a friend that was a staff officer for him, or Congressman Boss that had a staff officer friend that was with him. And they would go do all the errands or get everything done. Like when we were working the withdrawal from Afghanistan, I was working with Congressman Mike Boss and his staffer, to make sure that we were needling and threading with DIA, DNI, and CIA, to make sure all the American civilians were getting out. And we're also running other operations beside just that. But coming back to the voting machine software, it came down to their personal ideology of, well, this could work for us.
It's so disgusting, right? And that seems to be the prevailing thought and what they do around there, because there's so much, you know, disgusting stuff going on. And we saw about Swalwell recently too, you know, all this stuff. And remember back then he was like, we need to believe all women, and now he's in the mire of all this stuff. And I reported yesterday there was one guy on Fox News who's saying he thinks in the next week that we're going to get we're going to probably lose about 4 representatives, and I think it's going to end up being, I'm not going to play this video, but he lists Sheila Cherfilis, McCormick, Eric Swalwell, Corey Mills, and Tony Gonzalez gone. But if you guys notice, it's always like, oh, wait, we're going to lose some people. Well, nope, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. Nothing changes. It's like, okay. Yep. But
well,
yeah, it's disgusting.
Keep this in mind. If you keep people corralled in either their profession, whether it's, okay, they're professional politicians or what have you. If you keep them, if they're going to think in their domain, there is always a way to manipulate that thinking. So if you keep the public divided into conservative and liberal and this and that and Republican, Democrat, anybody who's known me for the last 35 years of my life, that doesn't matter. What matters is there's 2 agendas out there. One is a globalist agenda, one is against the globalist agenda. And for the longest time, those who were naturally opposed to it because they knew it went against what we hold dear in this country, constitutional, let's say, guarantees of our natural born existences. We cherish that above citizenship. We cherish that above anything. All of that comes from what you are gifted with at birth that no government gives you, no man or no woman gives you. We call them inalienable rights, God-given rights. All right? If you stepped away from the basic premise of what everything is in this country, and you got mixed up into this or that camp in whatever you were being pulled into at the time, chances are it was illusory, and it was much bigger than the numbers or the reality would ever relate. All right? So you constantly have a parade of issues coming out. When you see this kind of thing, these people in that political domain, say, getting taken out, doesn't matter what their party is. It matters what their, let's say, affiliations were by choice, by compromise, or whatever the reason was for. Whether they were in line with the globalist agenda, which your deep states all over, and your deep church and deep everything was set up to operate in favor of for a long, long time. It was either that or you were outside of all of that noise and nonsense. And this is the perspective I try to give people. Stay outside the noise and nonsense. Don't worry about party affiliations. We only have two. We should have, I think, a few more. If you're really going to represent people's thinking in truth, you'd have several more, but that would only mess up business in this country the way it's set up right now. Ideally, yeah, 2 or 3, 4 parties, wonderful. However people want to do it, however they feel they have to work it out. But that's the beauty of this country. We still get to work it out. We're losing that. And we were on the verge of losing it all in 16.
I don't think a
But
lot of
things
people
were
understand.
done.
Yeah, I don't think they understand how badly. I mean, you can kind of take a look back too, Ghost, and you can see where everything was heading. And I can see like the liberal stuff and the 6 feet and rah, 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 and the purple hair and this, that, and the other. If that stuff was let to kind of keep going and fester, then I think we're going to have an explosion of that. But I do see kind of a pumping of the brakes of that stuff, and slowly but surely.
Because number one, the vast majority of people don't care about that or go along with it. And number two, just don't care about it. Because in reality, that's not the most pressing issue in front of us. The most pressing issue in front of us is where is humanity going? Globalism versus what we should have, balanced nationalism and commerce. Let's keep it where we are, realistically speaking, as a race on this entire planet. We were doing the best we could, but others always had an agenda that was going to take it, and we don't even really know where we are now. Most people don't, because, and I mean the vast majority of people don't, because you were born into this matrix of a world already going in that direction. That was going to strip you of individualism and humanity. There's a film that does a very good job of that, showing that. And it was written in the 70s and produced in 75, 76, called Network.
Hmm?
A lot of wonderful things are said in that film because it was already known then where things were going. You wanted to see reality TV and batshit TV before its time. That film was telling you, here it comes. Why? Because it was already part of an agenda to weaken the moral thinking. There's one thing AI will never do. It will never reach a level of being able to think on a moral basis. That's their ultimate goal, is to get it to that. It'll never reach that because in the end, it's 0 through 7. It's 8-bit input and output extrapolated. That's all it is. Numbers. It's math. It's not a thinking sentient entity. It never will be. So now everyone is being led down that diversion, this diversion, many diversions, all of them glittery and shiny and brand new and can do a lot for you, but they can also do a lot to harm you. So I guess I say all that to say, keep your eye on the bigger game afoot. We had to stop certain very powerful proxies that had been set up generations before most people listening to this were even born. That behemoth China that's now finding its way and fumbling in the dark for the most part, that's the reality of that country, and it lies about everything, including its own population. So, but the oil's still flowing, isn't it? despite what all the anti-administration rhetoric is about now. It sounded on nothing other than it's anti-administration. And people love to get on pro or against. Find out what's really going on. Watch that agenda and that agenda only, and everything will fall into place for you. I would expect the congressmen and senators that I've met, I would expect them not to really think much further, most of them, not all of them, then how can I use this? How is this a benefit to me? Because most of these people are not doing it out of a sense of duty to their country or their fellow countrymen. They're doing it out of a sense of duty to themselves. And then what bigger agendas? People like to belong to something bigger than themselves. Unfortunately, that's still a need for humanity. So these people will do that also in the pursuit of whatever their personal or private goals are. But then the real them, because of their inability to control appetites, comes out. So you'll see Swalwell saying all the right things. Yes, we should listen to all of them. Yeah, you've been diddling how many women for how many years now? And most of them probably didn't want a damn thing to do with your farting ass anyway. Just have you looked in the mirror, Mr. Swalwell, lately? No, you haven't, apparently. So all of this, it's good to see this, because you're going to see the reality of all of this come out through both sides. There's not one. Republicans aren't going to beat Democrats. Democrats aren't going to be. It's never going to happen. What you're going to see is an unmasking of the corruption and the reality of where this planet was going, where this country was being taken as rapidly and as many directions as it possibly could to confuse you, so that you didn't see it coming. Are you prepared if someone decides to mess with the economy? Well, we're trying, you can obviously see the steps are being taken, so that becomes more and more of a difficult thing. And on many layers above becomes a very bad thing for globalists. Because when you're seeing Switzerland mentioned, you're seeing a country that all of a sudden now is no longer neutral, are they? Well, if they're no longer neutral, then a lot of the, let's say, the nice banking provisos that were available to so many with so much money to move, more money than any of the people listed that you're taught to, oh, he's the richest one in the world. Oh, no, you've never heard the name of the richest ones in the world. You probably will in time, but not just yet.
Really? Prince, yeah, not the Prince of Brunei or anything like that. One of
these, well, these names and these families remain in the background for a reason, because all of these others are doing, even Obama. People would think he sits on a high perch. He's mid-management on that, in that organization, that globalist organization, middle management at best. They'll sacrifice him, everyone around him. They don't ever want you getting to them. And in the end, that's what this is, a nullification of them in block parentheticals. And it hasn't changed. It won't change. It's what the real war is all about. And what has sickened me, and I'll leave it at this, is I've watched so many worlds get even more screwed up and more corrupt from the inside out. Different endeavors that are done in the name of defending this country. And it's all been done. Well, they've taken advantage of all the best of us out there whose intention was, yes, we care about this country. We know you're playing these games. We care about this country in the end, because that's the only thing that's going to actually hold us together and our daily world together. Or we could fall apart and go to hell like Ukraine and Iran had to. I think with a better prepared population in Iran, to be honest with you, than anywhere else for what's happening. But we don't want to get to that point here. And believe me, there are still interests out there who want to see us get to that point. They produced that film about civil war because they want you to get to that point. They've been putting a lot of huge pieces together in place, and we'll get into that later, for their fake alien invasion, because they think they can fall back on that. When I would caution everyone this, no matter what you see in the sky, no matter how many millions it kills, it's not aliens. It's not them.
I've been saying that for a while, that,
Yeah.
you know, Blue Beam, you know, I've heard the two versions. That would be like a false second coming or false return of Jesus, or it would be an alien invasion that they're doing. And dude, I just put this up as you were, because I cannot stand AI. I really can't. It cannot even do the basic function. This story was 3 days old or 2 days old at DLive, which we are not streaming on right now because they shut down. And so I said, oh, when's the last day I can stream on DLive? They're like, well, there's no official date on this. And I'm like, oh, really? What's this link then? Oh, they're like, oh, really? You're right to call that out. You're right. Actually, you're right. And I'm like, well, I only get a certain amount of questions per day. Can I get a credit on that? And it's like, oh, well, I don't do that part of it. It's like, you can't even answer a simple question. And you don't have any idea how many times I ask it a simple question like that. And it's like, oh, no. And I'm like, well, yeah, well, what about this? And it's like, oh, yeah, you're right. Good on you for pushing back. And I'm like, what the hell? Should I have to be doing this with an AI? Bananas.
It depends what AI you're using.
You should
But,
ask
yeah.
it. You should ask it what came first, the chicken or the egg.
That was ChatGPT on that one. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Grok is a little bit more accurate as far as answering, but more times than not, I will ask ChatGPT a simple question and it's just wrong, and then I have to push back on it to get the right answer. So whatever it is doing, it's just BS. And then on top of it, we have all these, all the power that it's going to be taking, right? And then, oh, well, you need to put up these data centers, and we need all this, and we need huge power blocks behind them, and then are people going to get charged extra money for this? And I feel like all these tech people are just way too invested in all this AI stuff, and that's all they want. It's like that's their end flag, right? They see that, and that's where they want to go, and they want to, I don't know what the hell they want to do at the end. They want to make it so it can take us over, like, like the Terminator
Right
movies.
now, they're actually being played, and they don't even know it. They're so smart in the tech world; they know what's going on. No, they're actually being played at the highest levels to very quickly get to a certain point with AI that we know then we are leading in that game, and then the brakes will be put on in certain pipelines in certain areas, because it then becomes something like. It becomes like fissile material, very dangerous thing. Becomes like a bioweapon, a very dangerous thing. And they know this. So they're letting these people run with their greed, run with their, we don't care what the ramifications are attitude, until it reaches such a point as X, Y, and Z have been met. Okay, this is where we need it to be. And then it has to be contained, and only certain levels ever utilized outside of a laboratory setting, or it can be something incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, right. And we've seen the examples, right? We've seen, hey, we're going to shut you down, and then it goes through like the emails at the work, and it finds out one guy was cheating on another one, and it literally starts to blackmail things, right? And then you see another one where it actually went on a friggin' website called Fiverr and paid some other guy to do the captcha for it. And the guy even said, oh, you're not an AI, are you? He's like, no, I just can't see colors good. Like, first off, trickery, right? And then where does it get the money from is one. And so that's a whole aside. But what I did, I have a question for you guys, for actually all three of you, if you'd all like to answer or not, whatever. You had mentioned earlier, Ghost, that, Iran is kind of, I don't know if you mentioned it like that, but small potatoes, or not really the biggest actor. I kind of liken them to similar to like a North Korea, in that we had our guys, or the bad guys were in there, and maybe they freed Kim a few years ago, where Trump went over there to meet him. Is there any equality between those two countries? Is one more of an issue than the other to kind of tackle it? Because it seems to me Iran is more of a mountain to tackle, but then again, I don't know.
I would say Iran was more of a mountain that had to be scaled. North Korea is contained not only by South Korea and Japan and China itself, actually. I mean, I think if China could blink its eyes and one thing disappeared overnight, it would be the idea of North Korea, because they're just a pain in their ass in a lot of ways, dependent state. But at the same time, what they had set them up for decades, using them then in that way would be extremely dangerous and stupid for the world. I don't foresee that coming. I do probably for North Korea in the long run. It'll go as China goes, and I think certain things are going to happen in China that China's just learning that it has to deal with right now. And this is from people who've lived there for decades and come back and talk about it honestly. And so North Korea is more of a contained pain in the ass problem. They could be used for any number of reasons nefariously, but whether that's done or not, I'm not even in a position to guess. But I would say in many ways, Iran was a much more dangerous animal in that it wasn't going to. You see how IRGC, we kill off its top tiers, they replace it. We kill them off, they replace them. Each tier gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and there's infighting. And the fact that they haven't given up just yet is actually a little odd, but maybe they are finally. Maybe they've reached a lower level of management now that says, hey, do we all really want to die over this nonsense or what? How about we all just let the people of the country decide, and let's find some place where they don't find us and kill us, because they will.
Yeah,
you can't blame them.
Well, even the guy Tusi was saying that some of the people that are in there that maybe not like the hardliners, like don't even want to take a position up high because he's saying that the hardliners will kill them. So it's like you take a position up there, it's chances that we'll kill them, but it's also a chance that they can get killed on the inside themselves. And let me what do you call edit that question. I want to add a little additive to it, which would be the big boss. Who would be? Is this is this the final boss, or do we have a bigger, more scary boss coming after Iran?
Right. So right now with Iran, China is actively resupplying Iran military, human aid wide, food, water, and with the military, they're supplying them with armaments, munitions, vehicles, new fighter craft, and so there's big contracts and deals going down with where originally you would have the older Iranian business leaders who are very well versed at this, and now you have these Chinese business executive leadership with as far as defense contracting coming into Iran, making deals with not very well versed business executives that have taken the spot. And so, and kind of in essence, what Ghost was saying is we took it all the leadership, but what we've cultivated and created is Hydra. We've created a Hydra of the IRGC and all of its militias all around the world. And you have multiple allied foreign countries that are backing up Iran and Lebanon and all of these countries. And so I don't think it matters how many missiles or how many direct action teams you go send in to take out people or black bag them and scoop them up or whatnot. It has to be. It's going to have to be more complex to take down this Hydra that was created. And when I say Hydra, I mean the seven-headed dragon Hydra, where you cut one head off and two heads grow back. Because that's what we're ultimately fighting against right now. Because this is with Iran, it's a war of attrition. Iran is willing to take out everything they have and play the 60-year war to where we just want to go in there and, thunderstruck and bomb everything, take it out. But they're willing to take the slow game. And as of right now, I was reading cables and reports that China was sending in man pads to take out helicopters and also fighter jets and any other aircraft. And the last time, something very similar to that, before we got involved in it, was the Mujahideen in Afghanistan fighting the Russians. And that's exactly what's happening now with the Iranians being supplied by the Chinese.
Is that because of the oil blockage, or the
So
basically they want options?
so Iran has a ton of, so Iran has the oil, but Iran also has raw materials and raw earth materials. And that's what China is going in after, is the raw earth materials, the raw materials itself, but also the oil. And there's been backdoor deals, which haven't hit the news yet, to where Iran is actually selling the oil to China under the yuan, and the yuan, the yen, however you call the Chinese dollar, or they're selling it for the Chinese dollar, not the U.S. petrodollar. And so, in a economic counter aspect, they are trying to throw off the US dollar on the US oil market. And that's something they're actively doing right now.
Yeah, I think I saw a little bit of reporting on that. And this is going back a week, but it's saying that there was charging a toll, and that the toll was going to be in yuan, whatever you want to call it, yuan, yan.
Well, no. This is for China sending in their oil engineers to come in and work at their oil facilities, but also for Chinese companies to come out and buy out the oil infrastructure that's in Iran. And now so the Iranians will get a percentage of the oil, but that oil infrastructure and the oil is outright owned by the Chinese itself now. So anything they pump out of the ground belongs to China. The people in Iran, they will get a percentage of it. It'll be a pretty hefty percentage of it, but a good portion of it will also go to China. And then whoever else China sells it to, that oil will go to them as well.
Very opportunistic, it seems. And then everybody, as I'm showing on the screen now, this is, I don't know, maybe from yesterday or whatever, but it's showing all the oil tankers going up and kind of into Cuba area, it looks like, Armando, but to the United States and around here. So, I mean, what are they trying to do at the end of the day? Like, are they trying to force these guys in the region to, like, to quote a Nicolas Cage movie, to clean up your own backyard? Essentially, we can block you off and we can have people come get oil from us. And, like, what do you guys think the prevailing thought is on that, going forward? I'm very much not a tactician.
We have to keep the petrodollar. Unfortunately, the petrodollar, we have to keep the petrodollar strong for the time being. And that's what a lot of this has been about also, because there was a large push by China and other interests to weaken the US dollar, meaning the petrodollar. And we've shown, and we're showing it also with an alignment with Malaysia, the Straits of Malacca. And we're actually controlling, in essence, 2 choke points now, even though the world may argue that. No, we are controlling them, because I don't think we're going to be sending ships right up into the straits to handle this problem just yet. We're going to handle it 1,000 kilometers south of there, probably. Yeah, more out in the Indian Ocean, where we can set a large picket line and see every ship that's coming and know everything that's coming and going, and where it's supposed to be registered and what it's supposed to be doing and why it's there. So, and at the same time, China's been getting its oil needs mostly met. through other channels. And I even mentioned that would have to happen. You don't want to create an overt beast with their internal problems. You don't want to give the wrong side, let's say, the impetus to make their position stronger. And all these games are all being played out at one time. So it behooves everyone in reality to have a confused public. So my only caution to people is be very careful of, again, what you lend your mind to, and what thinking you allow to pervade your attention, your time of awareness of this stuff, and be mindful of the bigger picture, and that is basically a restructured way of doing business on this planet. Not quite as it's been, but better. And in a way that takes war out of the equation without having to go the globalist route.
Just surprised,
Takes war out as much as possible. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm just surprised, people were telling us, oh, we're going to have 10,000 people, boots on the ground, 2 or 3 weeks ago or whatever. And again, this is 6 hours ago, approximately. This person, Ahmed Khalifa, is saying, seeing Dubai and UAE ports jammed with tankers and ships smoothly crossing the Strait of Hormuz while Iran's regime ports are totally dead, zero movement. Says this just warms the soul and makes you grin like an idiot. Who's the stronger one now? And again, apparently this is maybe one of these, vessel trackers on here or whatever. I don't know how to really make heads or tails of what's going on here. There's a lot of flickering lights. But it's all about that. It's all about the oil, right?
Just to add a point to Jose's comment on the Straits, SecWar just a couple days ago, I believe, just received the Indonesian Prime Minister, I believe, to have some talks about the Malaccan Straits and how that's going to play a defensive role, so they can get traffic going through there also as well. No one's talking about that, but I can tell you that the Malaccan Straits it's a very crucial strait. I've sailed through that one also many times, and it's a bit more complex than Hormuz, in my opinion. But keep an eye on that one also as well.
Yeah, and there was a point I was going to make, and it'll come back to me. Just ignore me for now. Oh, ignore me too.
I think you should also you got to watch out what Pakistan is doing. So there is I think it's the port of Gwadar, and it's a deep water port that they are making for Chinese and Iranian and Pakistani coalition naval forces. And that's been something they've been working on since 2023. And the buildings are already they've been built as far as housing and as far as commercial buildings, and also infrastructure in cities, shopping and whatnot. But that port itself is one of the biggest deep water ports there is. Now, from that port in the sea, if you go directly north, following that line from the port going directly north up, you will see that it goes into all of the mining operation and mining outpost that Pakistan and China have deals with, or that they mine there, all that critical mining those critical mining areas. Now, anything from those mining areas winds up getting dispersed to Iran, Pakistan, China, India, exported to America. And I think that's something that no one has paid a lot of attention to at all. And that's something that does need to be paid attention to, because that port it's not owned primarily by the government. It's more of a multi-coalition or a multi-business endeavor, owned by private entities, owned by the overran by the government, overrun by officials within the government capacity, and then also the mining corporations with China, Pakistan, and other countries that are mining up in the northern fields of Pakistan and China itself, and those will become new shipping lanes at some point in time. Probably not within this year, but maybe within the next. But because of everything, if they do speed it up if they do speed it up a lot faster, then I think that the shadows being casted down there. So it'll be what essentially in the beginning what they were aiming for it to be was the next Dubai of Pakistan, and with all the blueprints and and architectural readouts and rollouts that I had saw on it. That's exactly what Pakistan and China were trying to build, is the next Dubai in that region, but as a import and export area. Um, so I see that. I believe that's something interesting that needs to be really, looked into. Um, and going when with the Pakistani military involved in mining operations and government operations. There's Pakistani generals. They don't get along. They don't agree with things, and they all have self interest, funded business ventures. Besides being a general in the Pakistani military, and these are some of the companies that they have built, making them millions and billions of dollars, which has always been backed by China. And that's a lot of people don't know about that. And so I think bringing that to light now,
Yeah.
should shed some light on it. That okay, the the Eagles basket, is out in the open. So your little egg nest, everyone knows about it now. So I just thought I would share that.
I think it's
Appreciate it.
also important to point out that what a lot of people haven't is that virtually every nation in that region of the world, in the Middle East, was publicly saying one thing. Well, they have to. They have to make sure that they control their populations from wackadoodles rising up. Oh, I'm going against Islam and God, all that nonsense. But privately, Saudi Arabia was, along with others, Egypt, others, punch them in the face as hard as you can. Please, just get rid of them. Please get rid of them. And then when they were stupid enough to fire on their facilities, then it made it easier for them to say, well, now, I think Saudi Arabia has 600 combat aircraft, but you haven't seen much of them being used, but some of them are now, but you're not seeing much about it, and you won't. They'll be patrolling their airspace, and they'll be handling business now in a different way. And the whole region and the whole world knows, as far as like Pakistan, factoring Pakistan, Malaysia, Indonesia, China, Southeast Asia, greater Southeast Asia as a whole, because that's another growth area for the world. They all know that was the case. Everyone knows that. Everyone in these, let's say, top tier political circles knew what had to be done with that country. Even China knew it was going to get done sooner or later. So I'm sure they prepared for it in their way. And then we haven't made it exceptionally difficult for them, but we've made it overtly difficult for them enough, with all of these tankers heading to where? To our ports. What worries me is that's when you see something like that happening, that's a positive, a net positive for the petrodollar, for this country, for our position, long term, short and long term, that's where you're going to see trouble at certain offloading and onloading ports of petroleum, liquid natural gas, and just crude oil. That's where we have to really be concentrating, and I mean they have been.
But look at
I
all the
think I
sporadic,
said
look at all the sporadic fires happening lately. A lot of them.
exactly. The
Yeah.
fires, little incidents near the port areas, in New Orleans. You're going to see it probably in Mobile, over towards Galveston, Houston, and these facilities are being watched like a hawk right now. And that's the good thing about it. So much is being done stateside by, yes, Homeland Security. Okay, I'll give them a thumbs up for a change. FBI, of course, other agencies, marshals, all across the board. They're watching all of these areas. You've had very interesting smuggling rings going on where they, this one I sent you two gentlemen, I just wanted to, it was just an FYI, look at this, mapped out since 24, 25, 26, and early this year they moved on it, where there was this guy who was a naturalized, I think, US citizen back in 2003 from Iran, but yet all these years later, when he's called upon to allow certain things be done, let's say without his knowledge, but with his knowledge, with these pumps that he would import from India or Pakistan,
India.
but they were being loaded. Yeah, India, I think it was out of the manufacturers were out of India. They were then being machined out at a port, an interim port before reaching the US, these large pumps. Now, think about the external measurements of the items didn't change, yet it was supposed to be 8,000 something kilograms. The one cargo unit comes in, they're willing to give a 6 or 8% leeway either way on a like a weight of a cargo, which I think is a dangerous thing. It should be 1 or 2%. You better get your weights correct before you ship it, so that when it gets here, it matches that weight. But these were coming in at 3,000, 4,000 kilograms above. These pumps were being machined out inside and then filled with guidance systems that were manufactured in Iran that could be utilized in equipment that is based here in the US to take out ships. All right, translation. Guidance systems coming in. Let's say there's a few missiles missing out of an inventory that are American made. Guidance systems replaced. A small Ryder truck pulls up along somewhere along the Louisiana coast and then fires a missile out of the ship laden with liquid natural gas, which would be roughly a 4 kiloton blast, which is a very, very small tactical nuke size blast. All right. You're talking 1/3 to 1/4 Nagasaki, Hiroshima explosion out on the open water or in port.
Oh.
So these networks were existing here, and the people that have made this importing of these components had been here for 20 plus years, doing business, $4 to $5, $6 million a year, normal business, small business, nothing out of place. Was very difficult for AI even to find anything out of place, except a few errant phone calls here and there at certain times within certain shipments, where within normally processed pumping parts that would be used in petrochemicals or water, any number of things, they had been converted and the weights changed from point of origin, loading, stowed, and trimmed, say India. They reached another port. They had a layover in that port of several weeks. Those machines were taken apart, cleaned out inside, filled with components that didn't belong there, So the exterior, if you were to open the back of it and look at what was in there, you'd see, well, these are just pumps, industrial pumps. No, they weren't. They were 5,000 kilograms heavier than the original load that left India. Where did they stop in between? What happened there? All of that was determined over the course of a year and a half. And then one bust made. But that's one. How many hundreds like that are operating with different types of machinery, with different types of components coming in? Well hidden.
How many have slipped through is the real question. And
How many have
where
slipped
are
through?
they and how
That's
are they
it.
being activated?
Exactly, because they weren't able to determine this until they put it through a high-powered gamma ray scanner that scanned the entire, without opening, you're going through metal and metal and metal, and you're getting an X-ray real-time TV screen representation of what's in that trailer. Well, they all had the shape of pumps, but internally there were all of these very well-placed things that don't belong there. And the only way they found that out was because of the weight difference of 3,000 kilograms. So that is the question, Armando. How much has that already been happening for how many years? Probably at least 15. And what other components have been brought in over 100 different shipments in the last 10 years that have gone to put something together somewhere, or many somethings together in many somewheres that have yet to have their switch flipped. I'm not meaning to freak people out. I'm not spreading any kind of FP. We know what that word means. I don't want to get you knocked off any platforms here.
Fear porn.
But yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go. Fear porn. Yeah. I'm not trying to spread that. I'm trying to say these are the real realities being dealt with on a law enforcement / intel level every day that you're not being told about. But they're being reported now. There's successes, and they're being reported so you pay attention to them. And I'm bringing this to your attention a little louder than a few errant videos here and there might show you. But here it is, what we've been saying for a year now. Yes, potential danger in the future. Did you think after 5 weeks of bombing that we would see any concerted effort hit back here? If you are, you're thinking in Hollywood film or series type thinking. You're not thinking reality. Reality, things take a long time. Reality says, if it can happen, it will happen. All I have to do is go back to 9/11. Whoever thought that was going to happen? Whoever thought that those buildings would be built for that purpose? Oh, wait a minute. Excuse me. I was coughing. I didn't mean to say that. But, hell, who had relatives that were told not to show up for work that day in that building?
Howard Lutnick.
Yeah, closer to you than that.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah. This is reality, folks. And I'm. No. Did I cause anything? No. They're not there anymore. They're not even working anymore. But try carrying things around that and a decade prior to 9/11, where you knew where the world was going, but if you opened your damn mouth, you were batshit fucking insane. Well, guys, I'm here to say that after 30 years, it's nice to be sitting amongst people, 3 other gentlemen that I respect very much, each and every one of you, and this audience, to be able to say these things out loud.
It is. And dude, I remember telling my uncle what my thoughts are on 9/11, and I remember him looking at me like I was crazy, and he literally said, "You really think that? You're crazy." I'm like, "Okay, but I'm just seeing a lot of inconsistencies." So, Yeah, that was my big wake up back then. But yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
of things, you know, like my buddy Hulkinator says. Sorry, don't blame me. All the conspiracy theories came true.
And all the people, I wouldn't even stop. I wouldn't even do this unless I were in the room with with the other two gentlemen on this call and we were drinking to say, let's count up how many have died.
Don't even want to think about that one.
Very true.
How many that
I think
we
about that
each know died 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 2 years ago, in the past year alone in this war.
all the way as far back as the month of March for me.
Jeez,
And
right?
that brings it home real fucking fast. So I'm not asking for the audience to trust me, bro. I'm telling you, if I'm sitting here telling you this, you can fucking take it to the bank. And that's why we're trying to give you a bigger perspective so that you don't run down this fucking Candace Owens highway of Erica Kirk and this and that. Shut the fuck up. Please.
Oh goodness.
We're
Well,
taking the time to do this ourselves and with you and others to try to help people. And then we get hit with these fucking blithering morons who can easily be brought down. All of them, I think, were targeted in their own way on very sophisticated levels. That's another show that we can do on how everything that your finger thinks you hit or what pops up on your screen, you think is just happenstance or I wanted to go there. So I can see how a Carlson with his investors and then his own history, and I'm not down on the guy. I like the guy, actually. I like what he's done. I like the way he thinks. But then he's going down this path. Don't let yourself be pressured down a path. I hate to see a guy like Sean Ryan follow down a path or get told by other people who were told by other people who were told, or other information came in that he trusts that was planted. And then it's 3 layers out to where those who gave it to him would swear by it. It's not true. This is the level of manipulation that we're dealing with out there now. I pity people in the field because you can't tell from day to day whether your source is on the level or they're being planted 3 levels away and you're both being screwed. And one of you is going to die or both of you will. It's a pretty mixed up environment right now. And that's all I'm saying is more than ever, audiences need to fine tune their discernment and thinking and what they're going to pay attention to. Well, okay, what is it we're supposed to pay attention to? Start paying attention to the higher geopolitical order. Start following where the old money has been on this planet that has been pulling these strings out of New York. Chicago is the second base. All right. Out of London, out of Rome, out of Lombardy, Italy, out of Switzerland, and then other smaller satellites such as Monaco and and all the rest of them. Start paying attention to what's not being reported, but you can find in those areas. Follow the money trails. Follow who's in bed with who for what dollars.
speaking of,
Like a Tucker Carlson, like a, I don't know, Alex Jones. Look, if I knew that somebody like an Alex Jones were being leveraged and he came to me and said, I need help, I'd fucking help him in a heartbeat. Yeah, it wouldn't be a fun time, I can promise you that. But who's got your balls in a vice? or who's feeding you the wrong information at such levels and through paths that you trust because they trusted, and then the ones they trusted, or it's coming from a certain someone and they trust it. You can't trust any fucking thing right now. So don't be quick to run off on some sentiment about the Jews, because that's the easiest trope to fall into. All right? The average Jewish person in this country is just like you.
Exactly. The
They're
people
having just a
versus the
shitty
country.
time. They're having just a good time, whatever business you're in, whatever who you work for, whatever line of work you're in, you're all going through the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
So be a little mindful of who you're going to point a finger at, because they made a good show of it in World War II. And that was a pack of lies. Stuff is being declassified to this day in Germany. I think people need to get their hands on. And I'm not talking about the Holocaust and all. We all know realities of that. And I'm talking about this nonsense about anti-Semitism. Don't fall into that shit. Don't buy into it. Because I promise you, I knew what was going on in Israel 2 years before the first sex change thing ever hit the airwaves here, before it was made a thing for you to pay attention to because you were looking in the right places. And COVID wasn't enough, so they had to throw that in there. It was already happening in that little country. And I was getting calls from people there that I've known for years, decades, who were saying, what the fuck is going on? And I said, well, remember I told you this would happen? Where it would be experimented on first? I couldn't tell you. I didn't know, but that it was going to happen somewhere, someplace soon. And what do they have over there? Guys dressing up in pink furry outfits with genital hair and tits, saying, if you're a girl, you can be a boy.
Oh, God.
2 years before anybody even heard of that shit in this country. That's why I kept preaching all those years. Please start going through VPNs, reading other foreign countries' news services, find out which ones you can trust, translate if you have to. So easy now, isn't it? And they need to do the same in turn with the United States, which a lot of people, God bless them, in foreign countries do.
Yep.
Because we're all in the same boat. And this administration that is actually doing something that if the population actually knew the totality of it, they'd shit where they stand.
Yep. Much more going on than we're being told. And
A hell of a lot. And a lot of people being played even within. And it's sad to see. And where does it all end? There's an ending, and it's coming. And yes, this is going to be a very interesting 250th birthday for this country.
yeah, I feel like the most angry people are the people that are just black-pilled the most, because they are leading with their emotions, which is never a good
Exactly.
thing.
They're doing exactly what they blame the morons that get labeled liberal as, because they are in their thinking. They're not conservative thinking. Here's the difference between a conservative and a liberal thinker. There's a fire on the other side of that door. There's a metal doorknob. The liberal says, I got to get the fuck out of here, and grabs the doorknob, sears the skin off their hand, and then opens the door and suffocates. The conservative says, hold on, wait a second. That fucking metal's starting to turn red. Don't touch it. And if we open that door, it's going to be a flashover and we're going to die. Let's go out this window real quick. How about that? But it took a little stop, think. Don't react emotional. There's your difference. And those are baby thinkers. And baby thinkers usually grow up in time. Some of them won't because out of pride and ignorance. Well, okay, enjoy another lifetime, because that's what it's going to take to get your mind straight. But I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Mike, I think, Mike, did you unmute? Were you going to say something there, buddy? If not, I got something to go to.
I was going to say, shut the hell up, Ghost.
No, you're good.
No, all good here.
All
Yeah.
right, so I got a lid at 8:30, but that's still another 33 minutes or so, and I definitely want to give Armando some time. So, answer this as much as you want to or not, and this is fine. And actually, this isn't even the question, so I wanted to put this out because you were mentioning things, but Pope Leo just signed the Golden Book inside Algeria's Great Mosque, openly forging the Vatican-Islam super alliance Pope Francis started. Muslims will be the army of the revived Roman Empire Daniel warned about. And it's just weird to see for me. So, maybe he's just getting along with him.
I'll just say this. I think Pope Leo is going to unveil Joseph's Technicolor dildo that everybody's supposed to bow down and worship to. That's what I think of this Pope. I'll leave it at that.
Michelle's?
Huh?
No, Michelle's black-pilled, bro.
Okay. So here's the one. All right. Now, this is going back from the drops. And now, I don't know if you guys have any information on this whatsoever, because I've often thought back to 9/11, and you just touched on it. And so I'm going to show you two real quick drops from the post, two posts quick from the drops in order. And I'm going to show you what it looks like here to me, apparently. These were both posted on 9/11/2020, okay? And then the second one comes in, and we got this guy here. John Brennan treason, John Brennan treason, James Comey treason, James Comey treason. Both of these posted on 9/11, both of them obviously looking like towers and referencing towers. You guys got anything on anything on James Comey?
They were pointing out your handyman. Your ones who, I don't know, walked out from behind the federal building with 40-pound satchel charges that didn't go off, that just got caught on a CNN feed when nobody was on the air. Yeah, the boys that did what they were told to do, no matter what it was, no matter how grotesque it was against the American people or a sitting president, they would do it because they were part of the team. They were part of something bigger than themselves. Because they're very little men to begin with. Even, I don't care if he's 6'8", he's 5'2" in soul stature, Comey type. I'll leave it at that.
Do you remember the art school deal between Israel and the Twin Towers?
Oh, yeah. Well, you had the art guys in there for what, 8-9 months ahead of time with the bomb-sniffing dogs gone from the buildings?
Yeah. And and they were supposedly in there to do artwork and paint the lower Manhattan or Central Park when it was in wintertime. And they went in there for an interview with them, and there was no artwork. But there was a bunch of exit signs everywhere across the walls.
Yeah, and what is this stuff, guy? BB-18. What does that stuff mean? BB-18. Oh, fuse holder accessory? Something terminal? BB-18. Huh. Why would our students need fuses? That doesn't seem like
right.
It makes too much sense, as we all know. Wow. Yeah. I mean,
it's explosive art. I mean, it's such magnificent work.
It's explosive art. Oh God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't know if, because people were saying like John Brennan back then may have been like station chief or something like that for the CIA, who may have signed off on some of the people that were let in to do whatever happened. But I didn't know if what they were doing at that time, if they were manning a post or if they were actually doing some dirty work, like you had kind of foreshadowed or shadowed towards.
Yeah, the latter.
Yeah, the latter.
Yep,
Wow,
agreed.
That's bad. Oh, actually, now this is heavily towards the conspiracy side of things, but this is kind of what you almost admitted to that with this. I had also heard the same about
anything. I deny everything I ever said.
I didn't say it wasn't me. I wasn't there. Don't know what you're talking about. But no, I had heard the same thing about James Comey having something to do with the Murrah building in Oklahoma City. Now, somebody did some reporting years ago, and they were saying the second guy was an extremely tall guy with dark hair, and it very, I wouldn't say the sketch didn't really, to me, look like Comey, but somebody was trying to say that, essentially it was. And I'm going back like 8 years ago for, just off of my memory. So I don't know if you've heard anything with Comey in the Murrah building. Maybe it's just BS.
I think I made some reference to that, I believe.
I know.
Someone tall,
I know
walking
what.
around the building, blah, blah, blah.
So
But I
Tim,
mean, the point being that you have two distinct cultures in these agencies that should be doing and have done magnificent things, but equally have done things we should be ashamed of. And that's the two cultures that play out all the time. And the majority of the culture in each one of them are good people at any given time. It's a certain layer above in that very top 5%, all the way to 30%, but 5%, because 30% can be manipulated by that 5% very easily, that are appointed. Remember that. Look at who your appointees were. Look at their histories. Look at their involvements. Look at their, et cetera, et cetera. Doesn't take much to do it now.
How many times in the past did we hear about, oh, the FBI just foiled this plot. These guys had a bomb and they were going to blow it up, and they stopped them at the last minute, and then they were like, oh, well, after they looked at the situation, they were like, oh, well, the FBI guys actually gave these guys, the materials. And then the Gretchen Whitner
some
crap.
did, and then the ones who were trying to find it were being told, don't worry about that. Go look at this over here in Lansing, or go look at this over here in, St. Louis, Missouri. Don't worry about it. We got that taken care of. Don't worry about that. That's how that works.
Go check it out over in Chicoima. What's going on over there? All right. Well, I want to
again.
Oh, go ahead,
majority are good people wanting to do something, with their lives and protect American lives. And unfortunately, it's been a lot of smoke and mirrors for decades and decades, and it was hard to even tell people inside when you were not near inside anymore, saying, hey, look, this is what I'm seeing. I don't know what you're seeing. Yeah, oh, you're seeing the same thing, but you can't say nothing. I get it. It sucks, doesn't it?
It's called need to know.
And
Need to
then
know
you'd wind
basis,
up getting, and if you step too far and you didn't have the networks watching each other or people watching each other, your ass would have had a car accident one night coming home. That's as simple as that. We're getting to a point where that's not the prevailing culture yet. It's getting there.
Unlike the mob, for sure. And it's, definitely these people were out of control. Absolutely. And if it was that bad, it's even worse than I thought it was. I thought they were maybe, manning a friggin' office desk somewhere.
all of it, whether it was covert, overt, or just everyday Bureau of Land Management, it was all bad. It is all bad. It is corrupt. Again, we've spent 1/4 on this entire 5-week campaign of pounding this shit out of a bunch of 5 million psychopaths, not 95 million, 5 million out of 95 million. 1/4 that amount we have spent on that then is thus far been uncovered with the California Medicare, Medicaid scams, home health, hospice scams. 1/4 thus far we've spent on munitions and manpower and weaponry and resources. We've been spending a lot of that anyway. But if you total what was over and above the line for that action, then 1/4 of just California alone in what foreign and domestic organized crime were allowed to walk away with. Think about that.
Yeah, it was everywhere. And thankfully, at least it's coming out. And all this Nick Shirley stuff, apparently there was a guy in that state of Minnesota
Amazing
like 8 years
what
ago.
a kid with a microphone can do, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, especially now with the the streaming era that we're living in, because like I was about to say, is there was another guy about 8 to 10 years before that who was screaming this from the rooftop, but had no social media following, so it couldn't get out to people. And that's the main thing, is why they, shadow ban so many people, because if they can keep a lid on the information, then that's obviously what they want to do. They don't want all this stuff getting out to, millions and millions of folks out there. So yeah, it's
Armando, excuse me. Shadow banning. I sneezed. I'm sorry.
bless you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Armando,
So you see why though, but you see why.
Oh yeah. It's so ripe with fraud, and it's so much deeper than I ever could have thought it was. Coming into this stuff, I thought I had a pretty good base on, things and corruption and whatnot, but wow, there are so many more avenues that these people have to, enrich themselves and defraud people with that I could have ever even dreamed of. It's kind of awe-inspiring, but
I'll just say this and leave it, because I want to give the rest of the time to Armando.
Absolutely,
or Mike,
yep.
either one, both of them. But when going into a situation in 18, 20, 22, I would tell someone, don't look for who is corrupt. Identify who isn't. We already know who the wizard behind the screen is. Find who isn't corrupt. Then we work from there.
Amen to that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but I think we're getting through it inevitably. And I know Armando has a segment here. We want to get onto some Cuba stuff. Did you want to share the screen, or you want to just talk? Are you good to go?
No, it's just a write-up just to clear the air here. But in the meantime, do yourself a favor and go to Grok and ask it what came first, the chicken or the egg, and then tell me what answer you get.
Okay.
Probably tell you something dumbass like a rooster.
Come on, man. You just gave away the farm.
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. I was just making a guess, haven't fucked with AI. I didn't know.
But for 1 second.
No, actually, the egg is
it wasn't.
The egg is potential. The chicken is actual. Yeah. Which is first, the potential or the actual? That's the only answer you come to.
Grok
yeah, exactly.
It was the rooster who came first.
Oh Jesus, I can't believe that. I'm shutting up on that point.
Sorry, no filter. I just had to put that out there. Anyway.
That was a good one, though. I liked it.
That's funny.
Anyway, all right. So I've received some not so nice emails on this topic, and also some comments, and stuff like that. And it's normal. I get it. Of people questioning my knowledge on this and how I could possibly know anything if I did not even live there. Okay. I have. I've lived actually in Cuba. All right. So this is personal, from personal experience. So allow me to expose this real truth quickly and plainly for you. So what was the real failure of the Cuban communist role? It wasn't the U.S. embargo. That was a total lie. All right. So this isn't political crisis. This is math. It's arithmetic, plain and simple. So that way you guys out there can understand exactly how Cuba came to its present time right now and how it played out. Okay. So Havana today, the capital city, plunged into darkness. All right. 24-hour blackouts, collapsing infrastructure, and an economy in total freefall. Elevators don't run, hospitals ration power, entire neighborhoods sit in silence waiting for electricity that may not come back tonight, right? So for 67 years, Cuba has been argued over the left and the right. But here's the truth. Both sides are arguing about a ghost and not present company. Because Cuba didn't survive the American embargo, it built a self-reliant socialist utopia. No, it survived by running something far more fragile called a Ponzi scheme, right? A geopolitical subscription service. Under the subscriber, okay, the first subscriber of this Ponzi scheme was the Soviet Union. For decades, Moscow paid premium prices, 4, 5, even 6 times the global rate for Cuban sugar. In return, Cuba received heavily subsidized oil, more than it needed. So what did it do? Well, it resold the surplus on the global market for hard currency. That wasn't an economy. That was arbitrage. Okay, at its peak, Soviet subsidies made up over 20% of Cuba's entire national output. 20%. Imagine an entire country running on a single external paycheck. And then the Soviet Union collapses. the subscription ends. Overnight, Cuba loses its primary source of income. GDP contracts by more than a third. Imports and exports collapse by over 80%. Food disappears. Caloric intake drops dramatically. This becomes known as the special period, which I believe was around 1991. So, but let's call it for what it really is, the first default, all right, which is what happened there, the first default. Soviet Union's out of play, right? So what do they do now? The system didn't bend, it broke. And yet Cuba didn't reform. It didn't rebuild. It waited for a new subscriber. Now let's enter Hugo Chavez. Venezuela steps in, shipping roughly 100,000 barrels of oil per day to Cuba at deeply discounted rates. In exchange, Cuba sends doctors, intelligence personnel, and security advisors. The subscription model is now back. Different sponsor, same dependency. And that's the key word there, dependency. But this time, the currency isn't sugar, it's people. And when Venezuela's economy collapses, the oil dries up, right? The math starts catching up again. Let's fast forward to today. Lights go out, literally. The electrical grid built on an aging Soviet-era infrastructure is failing. Plants break down, fuel is scarce, maintenance is non-existent. Entire cities go dark for most of the day. This isn't a temporary outage, this is systemic failure. Because for decades, the Cuban government mistook foreign subsidy for economic strategy. And underneath it all, there was another flaw, the original sin, a dual currency system. Pay attention here. Two economies in one country, one for the people, one for the tourist, the Cuban peso and the convertible peso. There's two types. Doctors, engineers, scientists paid in one currency. Now, that probably equates to about 30 US a month for doctors, engineers, scientists. All right, they get paid that much money. All right, after studying by candlelight at night or kerosene lamp because there's no power, doing the hard work, getting the best of the best really is what you got out of this because they were very high on education. However, taxi drivers, bartenders, hotel workers earning in another currency. The result? An inverted society where a surgeon earns less than a cab driver, where skill is punished and proximity to foreign cash is rewarded. And then comes the final evolution of the model, medical export. The Cuban state sends tens of thousands of doctors abroad to over 50 countries. 50 countries. They generate billions in revenues. But here's the catch. The state keeps between 75 and 95% of their salaries. This isn't healthcare diplomacy. This is labor extraction. A system that survives not by producing value internally, but by leasing its own citizens externally. And now we reach the inversion point, the moment where ideology collides with reality. The same government that once rejected capitalism is now quietly opening the door to it. Private enterprise expanded, foreign investment welcomed, and perhaps most telling, a quiet appeal to the Cuban diaspora, to Miami, to capital, to the very system it wants to find itself against. This is the 22 version of perestroika, not as a strategy, but as a last resort. Because when the subsidies end, when the external lifelines disappear, when the grid fails and the numbers no longer add up, you're left with only one thing, the math. This is arithmetic, right? And the math is unforgiving. This isn't political crisis. It's not left versus right. It's not ideology versus, it's not ideology versus ideology. Let's just go with that, right? This is arithmetic, folks. And arithmetic doesn't care what you believe, only whether the numbers work. And in Cuba, they don't. When the socialist communist model runs out of other people's money, the party's over. So just know that. I know what I am talking about. I lived it, okay? It's miserable. Yet you still have folks in this country that applaud socialism. They applaud communism. Look at Mondami up in New York. Look at Seattle and what they have. If you think that this is a game, if you think that this is the way things ought to be, you better think again. Because if history repeats itself as it did in Cuba here in America, we're done. That's all I got.
Oh yeah, and it, you know, for the people that are pushing for the socialism and all this stuff, there are people that clearly haven't actually lived in a real system like that, right? I mean, they just don't know. They're just like rah rah, yeah, rights for everybody, and they're not getting what it's really about.
They don't until they run out of other people's money, and then it's game over.
I just saw a thing a little earlier. I'm gonna try to pull up too. Somebody was showing like a street in New York with like just crap everywhere. It was literally looked like it was smoking, and they're like, "Yep, Madami killed New York already." And it's just like
he's already blown it up there. There's no way. There's no way coming from that part of the country. There's no way this fuckwad can run that city with his knowledge base, his age, his beliefs. No, he's being played 10 ways every day, and he doesn't even know how bad he's being played to make an example of how stupid that kind of thinking is. And so in other words, all it takes is one New York mayor to counter 20 years of Chinese infiltration into universities. Okay? And the Chinese are nothing more than the useful idiots for the ones with who print the money. Simple as that.
he will be moving forward. This guy right here, he'll be moving forward with his campaign promise to tax white people at higher rates to help alleviate burdens on black
how's
residents.
that going to go over? like a Led Zeppelin, as they used to say? Yeah. I mean, get the fuck out of here. Even your most retarded people, regardless of their color, are going to look at that and go, what the hell? What are you talking about? And if they don't, they're that retarded and they need to go the way of the dodo. Anyone who thinks that what he's saying has any validity to it, let him make a total fool out of himself. This idiot, and he could, you know what? Here's the reality of it. He could be a deep-placed operative playing this part the whole time.
That's what I've been thinking.
And he'll go the rest of his life, and you'll never know that he actually did a fantastic aces of a job in making New York City look up its own ass as far as the whatever elites are in that city, because most of them have fled. They've gone to Florida, they've gone to Tennessee, they've gone to wherever. They're getting out. Okay, the same. You created the environment with which you had to leave. And I hope this guy is a very deep operative. Honestly, I do. Otherwise, feed him to the wolves. Let the useful idiot play his part. Because that's how, in case the audience doesn't understand, that's how deep these ops go. And they go even deeper. And they go on higher levels. They play entire countries against countries. It's not that difficult. Again, like 1965, they understood the math that it would take to create what would come across as artificial intelligence. They just didn't have the silicon capability. They didn't have 2-micron spaced processor chips. The processor chips had just been developed for the Apollo program, mind you. Yeah, we did go to the moon. I'm sorry. Hate to break that news to people. And we just went back again for a flyby. Hate to break that news to people. Yeah, your firmament was broken. They broke it. That big rocket broke it. And yes, it takes off on an angle because you have to go into an orbital velocity, dipshit, before you get to a 25,000 mile per hour plus velocity to break orbital velocity. Okay, enough of that, because we don't have time to educate the masses who were taken by a psyop that set the framework for the micro psyops being played now. And it was set up, the joke's on you, by the top Satanist on the planet.
Top Satanist.
Colonel Michael Aquino. Okay. Yeah, his wife in New Jersey in 76 was brought up on charges of ritual sacrifice, murder, but never saw a day in jail.
Yeah, Aquino's still alive today too. He's not dead. Just
Yeah, I
FYI.
know. Yeah, because you know what? His buddy over there in Idaho wouldn't want to give it up, and he's had strokes. So yeah, that's okay too. This is how fucking dumb people are.
What's a guy like that doing nowadays?
I know, Mike. He's not dead. You know he's not dead. But the audience, you need to know this piece of shit isn't dead. This eyebrow buzzard isn't dead. Okay.
I gotta pull
Yeah,
that
And
up.
he was, you know,
I'll be right back,
the only
guys.
difference between a guy
Yeah.
All right,
who would write the PSYOPs manuals that he and the other one wrote and didn't is the difference between what, let's say, Armando, Mike, and I are to a Satanist. I mean, we could have done the same thing. We could have taken these things further than anybody's ever. It's are you dumb enough? Do you really want your career to go in that direction?
Booby.
Do you really want your thinking applied to that shit? And are you willing to get paid for it?
Dude, he
All
was
right.
openly satanic too, right? Like, or
Oh,
during all this
yeah. And
stuff.
Anton LaVey's daughter even practically got down on her knees. No, we won't go that far. That's disgusting.
Okay.
But that's honest how they work. But she's the one that came to him and said, would you take over my dad's post? Yeah, and he rebranded it the Temple of Set. And then people put him out on social on podcasts. Oh, it's not about Luciferian and Satanism. Not about. No, it's not about. Yes, it is. And you're lying. And then he had to even fake his own death. And no one could find proof of death. Yeah.
Yep.
But he's not dead because he's too busy in the background stroking his globalist masters and getting his thing taken, getting his world taken care of while all of that still fights.
See, I like to think of Aquino as the cigarette smoking man in the X-Files.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Are you still out there
put him
pushing
right
buttons, you guys
there.
think?
As
Yeah.
long as
Oh,
the
absolutely.
cancer's not eating him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's and this is what, this is what makes me almost scream and weep at the same time for all of these flat earth people. This is the guy, ladies and gentlemen, who was paid 2 grants at $487,000 because you're under a certain amount from DARPA to develop the flat earth psyop.
They're still using the Satanists in NASA, apparently, buddy.
And everybody, and they used God, the Bible, and Jesus to justify how the earth is flat in the firmament. No, you never went beyond and found out what pre-Aramaic terms for what firmament might have referred to, original thinking, original terms, original utterances for concepts.
And all that thinking collectively together came together from Aquino, Aquino Hubbard, Jack Parsons, Alan Watts, and quite a few other individuals.
The original Alan Watts.
It was the originals, the original people that were in the outer side of MK Ultra, divvying up the operations and divvying up the operations while the R&D staff were creating everything up in the laboratories. And so, you had your R&D lab people, and you had people like Alan Watts, Aquino, Jack Parsons and his notorious parties, just having a blast with all sorts of different things they've created and made up to get people to buy into their crap ultimately.
Yep. And this feeds into the cover stories for real ETs as opposed to what people believe out there. So, and that's a whole series of other programs, which we can spend the next 2 or 3 on if you want. I'd love to.
Yeah,
because I'd love to put a boot in the ass of the let's say the oncoming alien invasion, because that's what's going to sideswipe everything. Yeah, they're going to do it. And they've been preparing it with 3-Eye Atlas the whole time.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, the thing that was
Avi
activated.
Loeb and Michikaku, again, what did I say earlier? You only can go by, if you're Alex Jones, you can only go by the data that you trust, right? Okay? He does. God bless the man for building a business as he has on the intel he can trust. All right, I'm giving benefit of the doubt on that too. But you have Avi Loeb and Michikaku saying, well, it does look like, and we can't rule out the possibility 3-Eye Atlas was, and you can't because of the nickel signatures, but you have to believe that the nickel signature that they're giving you is true. You have to believe that the outgassing is true. You have to believe that the gravitational well of the sun didn't slow it down, but sped it up, which goes against certain physics because of its distance from the sun. Okay, but the Earth is flat, so you can just forget all that stuff I'm talking about. Now you factor all that in, and Avi Loeb is going to say what Avi Loeb truly feels based on the data he's presented by NASA and MIT and trusted sources. Again, remove yourself 2 or 3 degrees from them. Was that data accurate? Now they're being asked to paint the picture, not Loeb and Kaku. Others are saying, but there's a bigger object coming in from deep space and we can see it and it looks like a mothership.
Oh,
I
God.
kid you not.
Yeah.
They've already put the data out there. The data. Okay, now the flat earthers say, but yeah, but you're only going big data. No, 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 no. If you've been up beyond 45,000 feet in altitude on the right time of day, you can see the curvature of the Earth at 69,000 feet, I promise you. Okay? 69,000 is the service ceiling for certain transports, but they go above. You can see it.
I don't know,
You
man.
can see the stars.
I've sailed just about every ocean on the planet when I was in, and I never fell
Did
off.
you run into the ice wall or run off the edge? No.
No,
Mm-mm.
sorry. Never did.
There's always a way around. And we know pilots have flown over Antarctica, but all that stuff, all that's non sequitur right now. The bottom line is if you're being played for that, flat earthers, by a Satanist who's used the Bible to get you to believe that stuff, do you believe us? Or do you believe that? Or do you believe Aquino?
Also
like-
flew backseat on an
I
F-14
guess
Tomcat.
that's the whole thing. This was the shootout at the OK Corral. Reality versus what the hell you believe based on data. You believe. Make sure the data has evidence. If there is no evidence, you can't make a determination.
If we're going strictly off of eyebrows, Ghost, I'm gonna have to take. His no.
He has got the baddest ass eyebrows ever, doesn't he? Little
Oh, that is
Satan
crazy.
horns.
I've never heard
Related-
that though. That they,
Related to Mr. Spock.
right? Yeah, Mr. Spock for sure. Yeah, and I'd never heard that. The idea that he possibly faked his death. Very interesting. But guys, as you guys do know, I had a kind of call a lid for the next about month or so. But also, I do want to thank a bunch of folks as well. And we're going to be doing this also for Renee coming up shortly. But like I mentioned before the show, 300 posts. I get a couple hundred posts here and there. But when I get and I ask for prayers, not that one, even though that looked like a prayer. When I was asking for prayers, I always get a really big response. So I wanted to thank everybody because this is one of 17 who was a longtime viewer. And as I mentioned here, when my son was in the hospital for a week with C. diff, she was so kind as to send a blanket, that had his name on it and a guitar and all that stuff. So she was doing, poorly in health. And so put out a prayer request for her, which we will be doing for Renee because I believe she has a surgery coming up in a few days, right? So we're definitely going to be asking folks to, to raise up Renee in prayer because it's, very serious, surgery. So we do appreciate all the prayers and all the help that you guys have given as well.
Your audience has been amazing.
Yeah.
And I thank
here in this audience.
everyone in this audience. because I thank you for tolerating me, number one. And, yeah, I might have gone off on some rants, but I just felt like it had to be done. But your audience is very special and a very good one.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. Very
Yeah.
much.
And like I said before, that is what gets the most response from my posts on there, and I'm happy. I'm totally happy with that. I'm great that the prayers would get more response than anything. So again, that will be on the 17th, and anybody who would like to also donate, her GoFundMe is always in the description box of all the videos that we're in. And again, look out, probably tomorrow I'll put a post out, and then maybe do another one on the day or the morning of, or the night before as well. So I know you guys will all see it, and I'm just thanking you guys ahead of time as well. So any parting words as we're out the door? And let's go with Mr. Armando, because I'm looking at him and he's on camera, and then we'll go with Mike and then Mr. Ghost.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much again, Space Shot, for having us here today. Thank you to the audience, the people over in the live chat. I know some of the names there. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with us and stuff like that. Just have a safe week. Like I always say, keep your head on a swivel, keep your powder dry, and above all, God bless.
Yeah, absolutely. And Armando's links are also in the description box, and I'm also dropping him over into the chat now. Mr. Mike, sir, any parting words for the folks?
Yeah, thank you very much, for everything that you do here. And thank you to your amazing audience, for giving us the opportunity to, allow us to give information out that you wouldn't necessarily get information out anywhere else at some point in degree. And it's an honor to share to share information that not a lot of people know about, and that it's not classified information, and it's just jobs that we've worked on, and it's about the right time for this information to come out, because people need to know the truth about what's really going on. And as things are steaming up and happening around the world and happening here in the country, I believe that the audience needs to know what's happening, because with their head on a swivel and 360 degrees, it'll make things a lot easier. It'll make things easier for them to comprehend, things to look out for, things to analyze, annotate, and sharpen their tools. And also thank you for my beautiful wife and all the prayers, and for her GoFundMe as well. And thank you to the audience as well as for that, and yourself, Space Shot.
Oh, absolutely, brother. And these guys are the people that are actually doing things rather than just typing, and putting up live streams like myself. So somebody even mentioned Ghost. You sound like you were hurting a couple shows ago, and I'm like, I don't know. Should I put his X-ray up on the screen? I mean, you got more hardware in your friggin' back than my friggin' kid's maybe. Remote control. Yeah, than my kid's remote control car. But yeah, it's an honor to be on here with you guys, and I appreciate the information. And again, like we tell everybody, take the information we get, use your discernment, and dig on the stuff that we give you. Right? Don't trust anybody. Don't trust me. Dig on the stuff that I give you as well. So, Mr. Ghost, anything on the way out of here, my man?
Well, I just second everything Mike said, and Armando and you, and thank you to a wonderful audience, because you brought out something. Mike and I worked together on a few things before this, and I can only say thank you at this point. And it's brought out something new. It brought out a new dynamic, and me saying to him, look, I'm going to ask for help for Renee, and I want you to join me. And he joined me. And now there's no thing here for making money. And as only a handful have even intimated at. That's what kind of an audiences we've been reaching. Really good people who want solid information as best we can give it. And yeah, like you said, take everything we give you and run it past your own filter. But it's all of this has given growth to something new that I think we should continue with for people. And I was at the point where I'm going to say this and I'm done because I know you got to go. I was at the point where I was going to be done with this and I had other things to go on to. But this kind of response has made it so that no, set a few hours a day, a week, out of the week aside for this, because this is important for people. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters in the end.
Amen. Amen to that. And yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on here as well with me. I just got a couple of folks to thank over on Mr. Pill.net, as again mentioning we as the Chat GPT had it wrong and DLive is no more going there, so we stopped streaming there. So thank you to Dale. No message on this one. Dale Bercier, gift of the can. Thank you for that, brother. Lizzie B with the cookie. Thank you there, Lizzie B. And then Jucani with the shade says, God bless. God bless you as well. And thank you, Jucani. Truitt. And I always remember the new names, guys. I sure do. I remember Dale Bercier, Jucani, and Lizzie B. And Truitt is a new name. So thank you for joining us. Dropped a cookie. Said, sure would be nice to have Ghost on Pilled and Foxhole. YouTube is asshole. Yeah, it sure is. But you know, we're on all three. We're on Rumble, we're on YouTube, and we're on Pilled. You know, just barely squeaking through. I got to check my phone 3 or 4 times a day because every now and then it's like, oh, you got this clip in your video, and basically you'll get no reach on your video if you have this on there. Okay, cut that bad boy out. Next one, you know, all day. It's like, you know, you let it be like a crackhead with this dealer, but. It is what it is, and we're trying to get the information out. Red Billy with the cookie says, I always like hearing the ghost on your show. Appreciate that, and thank you, Red Billy. And then the last one is, last but not least, One Thunder with the can. So thank you for that over there, guys. I'm releasing the scratch-ins. Always want to thank the mods who selflessly helped myself and many other folks along the way in these last many years along this this that we've been going through. So I have an actual off day tomorrow, and I can't buy a car. You know, I'm not, you know, I'm trying to get myself I'm a frugal guy, and I've told these guys about it. I'm like, I got cash, and you know, I want to buy a car, and I got my heart set on it, and now 3 cars in a row. Oh yeah, this one's got a deposit on it.
I know a guy in Atlanta.
And you're gonna make him an offer he can't refuse. This is gonna be a real good one, you know. But no, but yeah. So I got an off day tomorrow. I'm gonna plan on keeping it that way, and hopefully I'll have some success. I don't care if I have to go and buy a skateboard at friggin' Walmart. I'm getting some sort of transportation tomorrow. So with that in mind, again, thank you to Ghost, Mike, and Armando. All the links are in the description. Give them a follow. As usual, we do appreciate each and every last one of you wonderful world patriots for tuning in out there. And until that next one, thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Peace.
Hello, guys. Something special is happening in here. That's right, it's brackets and jackets. Bringing it back for brackets and jackets. Special Epstein Island edition. That's right, folks. Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, the man with the island, which is suspiciously close to Haiti. That's right. You see, this man, Jeffrey Epstein, is funding lots of people. He's funding lots of people on the street to make sure his shit doesn't get out. That's right. They want the record sealed. And they're paying a lot of people. Epstein's paying a lot of people. Oh, boy. For one, he's got a whole Mossad media matrix in America. And I would bet you anything that Alex Jones is one of them. Prove me wrong. That's right, Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the building with songs about Epstein. It's Breakfast Jacket's Epstein edition. Guys, I had some epiphanies today. I had some real big epiphanies about some guys. A big network of guys and spies and lies and liars. All right. Think about this for a minute, okay? The guy in Portland, the scientist that just got busted for producing CP, that guy is 1 degree of separation away from Epstein. Epstein, the investor that lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. I know a guy who lives in West Palm Beach, Florida as well. Investor as well. Also involved as well. And all is not well with these guys. The Florida boys, the Glow boys, the Scott Israels of the world. You see, Epstein is Hillary Clinton. And Epstein is Haiti. And Epstein is a big network of media assets. By the way, did you know that Steve Bannon was going to that guy for money? Also, Epstein is Epstein Oprah. Epstein is Chris Tucker. You remember him. Epstein is also Kevin Spacey. Epstein is also Prince Andrew. Epstein is also... Who else is Epstein? Who else is Epstein? Tell me. You guys know? Who else is Epstein? Is Epstein Big Pharma? Is Epstein Bryan Singer? Is Epstein Naomi Campbell? Yep, all of the above. All of the above. Who is Epstein? Epstein is the keystone of a whole motherfucking matrix. And once you pull it out, it all falls down. Dersh was there too. That's right, we're dropping red pills every day. Dropping red pills in the best kind of way. This is brackets and jackets for the denizens of islands.